my name's Megan,
Hi, my name is Azan.
And I'm Zane.
and this is Note to Self, a mental health podcast, and today's episode is going to be about the impacts of social media. Hi guys, it's been a minute. How are you guys doing?
I'm pretty stressed.
Yeah.
It's final season.
Yeah.
There's like all these like closing events for the semester. Right now I'm just waiting for winter break, honestly.
I felt
Stressed
that.
but excited.
Yeah. I think that's also my mood. I think it's most people's mood right now is just like trying to get through the next, 2 weeks?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm definitely less stressed because apps are done, but...
I forgot about... I didn't forget about those. They've been constantly on my mind, even after I've submitted them.
Yeah.
But I think I'm a bit tired now, if that kind of makes sense. I'm kind of just like, why is this still going on?
That's fair.
But yes, 2 more weeks. So 2 more weeks left. That's all.
So to get in today's conversation, I wanted to ask you, and this is more of a general question, it doesn't have to be a social media app, but what is your favorite app on your phone?
Ooh, I know I touched upon this last episode a bit, but Twitter is definitely my number one used app.
I'm so sorry for you as of more recent news, I guess.
Let's see, I'm looking at them right now. I think favorite app. Let's see. If I had to pick one, I'd probably say this is kind of hard. You know what? I'll say Spotify.
Okay.
Solid choice.
Yeah.
Solid choice. Mine is YouTube 100% all the way. Just because I watch a lot of YouTube. Okay, so going off of that what kind of like technology or media do you use the most? Like not necessarily you like the most, but you spend most of your time on. Like for example, I spend a lot of time on Instagram. And I don't even like Instagram that much. It's just like more of mindless scrolling at this point. But yeah, what do you guys use more? I mean, you probably use Twitter a lot.
Yeah.
You like it. Yeah.
I mean, I do actively use Snapchat and Instagram.
Yeah.
Facebook here and there, and like YouTube. Yeah, I kind of cycle through. Definitely a Spotify user all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just a wide range.
So for me, I definitely use like video streaming platforms the most, so like YouTube and Twitch.
Yeah.
Just so I can have something in the background. When I was thinking about like my favorite app, I like there's so many apps that I use so much, and they all like play different roles. But I decided to use Spotify because I was thinking about like which app I use the most, but also doesn't negatively impact me.
That's
And
fair.
I feel like you can't really go wrong with listening to music. There's never a bad time to listen to music. It can help your nerves, your emotions. So I kind of just try to like calculate, okay, what is my total time use, and what's like the over like the marginal benefit.
Yeah. And then I guess shifting into social media, we can talk about maybe some like pros and cons of having social media. Like for example, I think a big pro is connectivity. Like I remember during COVID when it was hard to keep in touch with just about anyone, but like when people were posting actively on social media, I felt like I was at least a little bit connected to them. So, and also like you can contact someone who's like halfway across the world or all the way across the world. And so like in that way connectivity is really I think valuable. But there's also downsides to social media.
No, yeah, I definitely agree with connectivity. I think that's the main reason why I use it for sure, especially like Snapchat and Instagram. It just really helps me, in a weird way, connect with people I haven't seen in a while.
Yeah.
Like we don't even necessarily have to talk, but just us posting kind of gives us an idea of like what we're going through currently and like what's happening, and just keeps us caught up. So that's nice.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot also has to do with some of the stuff we do, right? So a lot of the work we do, as student one semesters is like creating a sense of belonging and social connectivity.
Right.
I know for me personally, I started to use social media and apps in general just a lot more during COVID, because we were trapped inside our houses and we had nothing to do, and I feel like at a certain point, even if you do have like friends and family, just like being like enclosed in like one, how do I say this, like not being around the same people all the time, but like kind of like being
Kind of
enclosed
socially
and
isolated.
yeah, and like kind of isolating yourself
Yeah.
can be draining. And like during COVID, we saw like the number of people using apps like increase drastically.
Yeah.
Because I feel like in a sense some people were losing themselves.
Yeah. And we touched a little bit on this, I think, the other day, but like loneliness was a huge thing during COVID too. Like, there's one thing to be lonely, but loneliness is a whole other game because you can be surrounded by a bunch of people and still feel lonely. And so I think in a way it kind of helps with connection in that way. However, I can also see how it might be a little bit overwhelming. I think we as humans are not meant to take in all of the information that is out on the internet.
Definitely, yeah.
Especially all at once, because you'll be scrolling through TikTok and you'll see like something really cute, and then you'll scroll and see something in the news that really upsets you, and then you'll scroll and see someone doing something that's really unique. But like, it's just so much information going into your brain at once. And on one hand, like, that's the dopamine is like you want to chase that, but then on the other hand, I can't use TikTok anymore because I would get so depressed after being on TikTok, and I didn't know why. I just knew I did not feel good after watching that much TikTok. Because when you go on TikTok, you don't just watch one TikTok and say, "Oh, I'm done." No, 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 no. You just keep scrolling because it's that instant gratification. So like, I can also see how like if you don't have balance, or if it's really hard to find that balance, it can also become kind of, in a way, too connecting. I guess maybe that's not the right word, but it's just like more overwhelming.
No, I definitely agree with the overwhelming part. I actually don't use TikTok, but I'm not the most active on Instagram, and it's probably because it used to get me anxious.
Yeah, it's kind of
Like,
the same way.
yeah, like me posting, I'd be like, oh, I like look at every single detail, or like I would like check like numbers in different ways. Like, it didn't like impact me too much per se. Like, I didn't care too much, but like just the thought of it did bug me a bit.
Yeah.
Like everything's fabricated and glorified.
Yeah, that, and there's just so much vying for your attention. Like, it makes me think of like when you see like those pictures in New York City where there's a ton of colorful billboards literally everywhere. Like, you can barely see the sky. It's just like billboards upon billboards, and they're all vying for your attention. And sometimes it's overwhelming to look at those pictures because it's like, where do I even like where do I focus my attention? So at times it can feel like that, where it's just like so much information coming at you at once.
Definitely. And like, I guess for me, it was like the overwhelmness mixed with like just anxiety and like, just like, yeah, anxiety, which kind of ended up becoming like just like negativity. I was just like, I felt like shit afterwards. Like, I would like go through and like purely I would just feel like shitty. So I would just not go on the app that much until like, I would say the past couple of months is when I started going back on the app a bit more. And that was for like connectivity, but still not the biggest fan of the app. But yeah.
That's fair. I go on social media apps quite a bit. I post maybe once a month. Barely. Not even. Maybe once a year.
That's way more than me too, because I post once a year.
I like, if I have something interesting going on, or like I'm going to like a play or something, I'll post like a picture on my story, and that's about it. But like actual posts, especially on like Instagram, once a year basically. I don't use most other social media apps, to be honest.
Yeah.
I used to. It's just more like, if I didn't have friends that I was actually keeping connected with on those apps, I just didn't really use them because it wasn't convenient.
And I think that also I'm just kind of lazy.
That's fair.
Honestly, social media apps are a lot of maintenance.
Yeah,
They take a lot.
It's so much work.
It takes time, effort,
Energy.
And sometimes the outcome is undesirable, right?
Yeah.
Agreed.
Like as we were just talking about, like you could be on it for a whole day and all you really get out of it is negativity.
Yeah.
No, definitely. Just like the whole like concept of you like quote unquote maintaining your page and like looking through, getting back to people, like posting, liking. It's just like it's not that crazy, I guess, when you say it out loud. But like
Mm,
in the moment, it's too much work for me to do, which is why I do like Twitter because all I do is scroll and like just
yeah.
read. So yeah, that's the reason why I don't really use Instagram that much. But I
Yeah.
do appreciate the app, and I get why people do like the app.
Hmm.
Also, for me, I don't have an Instagram, so I'm not sure how accurate this is. But I feel like on Instagram, a lot of the stuff, since yeah, people like take time to post that they think about it. I feel like on Twitter, it's a lot more genuine. Just
Oh,
like
100%.
just for like the way the platform is laid out, because it's not like only like stories or pictures. It's just you have like a character limit and you can type whatever,
Hmm.
and there's like a wide range of things. You can't really do that with pictures. So
Yeah.
that's just my view. Just like it being a little more authentic and having more to offer.
Yeah. I mean, I think Instagram has kind of evolved over the years where it's a little bit more, I mean, it's like not, I wouldn't say it's more authentic than it was, but like, I don't know. I think people sometimes put thought into their captions, maybe sometimes, but if not, it's usually like their stories where they actually like put their thoughts. But yeah, it is interesting seeing the difference in culture in on different forms of media, I think. Because like I wouldn't, there are some things that I would use Twitter for that I wouldn't use Instagram for, and vice versa. So like it's kind of like a give and take. What are some ways that specifically social media can impact your mental health? Like be more specific.
So me, I think something that social media does bad is it gives people the habit of constantly comparing themselves. There's
Mm.
a saying where like comparison is the theft of joy,
Mm-hmm.
and I know we use Twitter and Instagram as an example, but I prefer Twitter more because you can't. There's less pictures on it because Instagram is solely pictures, right?
Mm-hmm.
So from my experience and just like for analysts from friends, what they'll tell me is like, oh my god, look at this post or whatever, and then they'll like start talking about the person in the post, and there's just like this whole like bubble of negativity that comes out from this one person's post, no matter what their intentions are. And I've kind of seen that happen throughout the years, um, especially in like our like earlier stages of school, like middle school and high school. I feel like people were constantly comparing themselves.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's something that social media has brought as a negative.
And kind of going off of that, it's not just like comparison of like, I guess like physical things. It could be a comparison of experiences too, because like there's like a bunch of, I don't know. I get FOMO when I see some other people's posts sometimes because they only post the best of what they're doing, and so I see all this like fun stuff that people are doing, and I'm like, well, why isn't my life as interesting as that person's life? Or like, why am I not doing as much, getting out of the house as much, like whatever, when like I have a lot going on. It's just not it's not fair to hold myself to the standard of their social media rather than like just like taking their whole entire life into account, because obviously I'm not going to do that if I'm just looking at pictures of them having fun. Like,
Yeah. And they put like a lot of effort into the post, and I think we can connect that to mental health in this way, right? You have to put in the effort yourself. It's hard, but it does take effort to kind of improve your mental health.
mm-hmm.
Without effort, it'll stay at the same state, or potentially even get worse. So kind of connecting it to how people use social media, you have to put in some sort of effort, and eventually your mental health will get better.
Yeah. And then also like there are the little things that we don't consider about social media, like I guess the social media culture, like filters. Those have been, I think, particularly damaging for a lot of people just because, like, they are supposed to make you look better, but then they can give you a distorted image of what your face looks like without the filters. Like, I know for the longest time, I always used a filter because it would blur out my acne and it would, like, make my face look smooth and ideal, and it would make it have more of a taper so that it didn't look so, like, I didn't have as big of cheeks or whatever. Like, it made you look like what they thought was the ideal version of yourself. And I actually this year, 2022, my New Year's resolution, which I stick to my New Year's resolutions,
Nice.
is to use no filters, and I haven't this year, and it's actually been better than I expected, honestly. Like, I have come a long way from using filters every time I post something on social media, or feeling like I have to, because like I feel like I have to present the best there because everyone else does. So I feel like I've come a long way from that.
No, that's awesome. I'm really glad that you brought that up and you shared that story with us. I definitely think that, especially people that are in the younger part of the generation, for sure, are really impacted by filters.
Oh yeah.
And just they really do keep comparing themselves to what other people look like and what they quote unquote should look like,
Mm-hmm.
which, like we kind of talked about, is terrible for your mental health. And
Yeah.
you shouldn't be comparing yourself because each and one of us is different and beautiful in our own ways.
Yeah, and if you think about it, like you were saying, because of especially because of COVID, but also just like social isolation in general, more people have been on social media sites than ever, which means that also more of the younger population is probably signing up for these sites. And when you're around people just like in person, you don't point out all their flaws. Like, that's not the first thing you go to. You're usually either focused on something else, or you just genuinely don't care because you like the person more than what they think would be their flaws. And so the fact that we do that on social media, and then that's probably perpetuating those things so that people might be doing that in real life now. I mean, I look at myself in the I didn't look at myself in the mirror the same way that I do now after not using filters back then. So I can imagine that other people would probably be the same, where they're so used to seeing filters online, thinking that that's authentic, and then they look at themselves in the mirror and say like, why can't I have that skin, or why am I not the same, or why am I struggling so much with my, self-image? And it's because they're not looking at people actually being authentic, or yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a big thing, and another big thing is kind of how you touched on this, is it gives people like a false sense of perception, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like imagine you post something and it gets 50 likes. 50 likes is a lot, but if you go around and ask people, hey, I got 50 likes on this post, I'm like, oh, whatever, that's average. But like, if say just if one of you, and even both of you, like say compliments me about something, say about my jacket, like it'll make my day, my week even. But because of social media, people get compliments in whatever batches, but they won't really feel the same sense of gratitude and accomplishment just
Oh
because
yeah.
it's on social media.
Even I've had to even I like how Instagram now lets you turn off the number of likes that you have, because like I was never really the person that was like counting likes, but like I definitely, for certain people, would get a little, so and so didn't like my post. I wonder if they saw it or whatever. So like I noticed myself doing that, and I had to take a step back and be like, that's weird. Why are you like comparing social media to real life? Because honestly, they're not the same.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Like
numbers are used to be a big deal for a lot of people, and I know that.
social media should have some place in your life or no place, but it shouldn't be your entire life. Something else
Absolutely.
I've noticed is, especially like the younger generation, you go to like an elementary school and you ask kids what they want to be when they're older, they're all going to give you the same answer. Oh, I want to be like a vlogger, I want to be a YouTuber, I want to be an influencer, because that's all they know, because that's all they indulge themselves in. There's really more to it. So you can't have social media be the biggest factor, or your main indulgence, because say something negative on social media happens, which we've been talking about, there's a lot of negativity on social media, you're gonna feel those negative outcomes. So it all depends on where you place social media in your priorities and how you use it, and kind of balancing yourself with other aspects and different things.
Yeah. Although I will say one thing that I think, also kind of going off of the connection piece, that's also a positive about social media, and I think could be positive for mental health and just health in general, is the amount of like, if you have like a really niche hobby, or if you like really like this one thing that barely anyone knows about, there's definitely a community for it somewhere on the internet, whether you look for it or maybe just like because the TikTok algorithm is so good these days, like maybe you liked something about that thing and so now it just pops up on your feed now and then. Like there's always going to be someone out there who shares a similar interest with you. And I think that's really cool. Like there are some things that like it's hard to find someone in your community to talk about things with, like certain niche things or even like health stuff. Like if I didn't have a community of people who have the same, health struggles as me, I wouldn't know who to listen to because I don't have that community around me. So if I go on social media and find people who have a similar, health condition or, similar, whatever, then they're more likely to one, have advice or just like be a community that I can talk to and relate to on that aspect.
No, I definitely agree with both of you guys. And I was kind of curious, Zan, what's your experience been like with streaming apps like Twitch?
Yeah.
So my experience has been generally wholesome.
That's good.
Mainly because I stream for the purpose of my friends to watch,
Mm-hmm.
and occasionally people will chime in and just chat with you about what you're doing because they share that same interest. And I feel like a lot of that has to do with just how small my community is,
Mm-hmm.
because my community is very small, so it's a lot easier to connect with people on a more personal level,
Mm-hmm.
and it makes it more realistic. So my experience has been very wholesome, and like you mentioned, you get to talk about certain hobbies and niches that you might not with other people in your
Right.
community. So
And the gaming community is kind of like that for the most part. I mean, obviously, you have your bigger streamers where, it's 50-50 whether, like, the chat is going to be chaotic or good. But, like, for the most part, there are a bunch of smaller streamers that have really nice communities and are super welcoming towards anyone who's just, there to chill or whatever. So, yeah, there's like I said, there's always a place for someone on the internet, which is also
I
a
have a
good
question
thing.
for both of you. So do you guys have any like smaller influencers, or do you like prefer smaller influencers over bigger influencers? Because I know for me personally, I really enjoy watching YouTube channels with a low amount of subscribers,
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like their content is a lot more authentic, because they can't really make money off of the amount of views or the amount of subscribers they
Right.
have. So there's some other factor that's making them make these videos, and a lot of the times that comes from that's passion, right? Passion, wholeheartedness, and I just feel like that content is a lot better for me to consume and connect with them.
I feel like, yeah, generally I like people who probably don't have as big of a following. I will say the exception is people who have been on the platform for like a really long time, so they've gained a bigger following. But yeah, for the most part, it's smaller people.
I definitely agree with what you said. I think there's definitely some. I don't actually keep up with a lot of influencers, but the ones I do, they might have a lot of subscribers just because they've been on the platform for so long that they're
Yeah.
iconic almost.
Yeah.
And so I keep up with them, but I also do keep up with smaller ones, I guess you could say, because when they do gain like a couple million and stuff,
You could be like, "Oh, I was
I was
there."
there
Yeah,
first.
yeah.
it's like they start their content becomes more like what everyone else is doing rather than what they used to do, which I think was a bit more exclusive to them.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I would watch like subscribe watch subscribers watch influencers with less subscribers, but it wasn't me necessarily looking for people that had less subscribers.
It's
It's
just
just
it
that
came along.
that's just kind of what happened.
Yeah.
I know for me, right now, especially since we're all on our transfer journeys, and that's like another stressful thing. Something I like to do is, I kind of find peace in relating to other people. So
Yeah.
something that I'll do on YouTube is I'll try and find like, like day in life as like a transfer student or like a college student, and I found that the ones with lower subscribers are people who share the same experience as us, and they're kind of just documenting that. So I kind of find the sense of peace and comfort in relating with someone in that way, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's something I've been doing recently.
That's great. Something that I've fallen victim to lately on social media is doom scrolling. I don't know if you guys have ever just fallen into the terrible pit that is doom scrolling. Do you guys know what doom scrolling
What is
is?
doom
It is.
scrolling?
I don't actually. I was
It's
supposed to ask.
basically when you are on social media and maybe something like you see something and it makes you mad or angry or sad or scared, and then you just keep going like through, maybe it's that specific thing or something related to that thing, or you just keep scrolling and all you see is doom and gloom and doom and gloom, but you can't stop yourself because you're on social media. And sometimes it's really hard to like shift tasks or say like, okay, that's enough internet for the day. I don't do it often, but when I get into that mode, it is not fun.
I personally have never gone that path, I believe.
That's
Or at least
good.
I can remember.
Do you just have like really good self control and say, okay, that's enough internet for the day?
Low key, yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah,
Good for
I
you.
think you need self control,
Yeah,
right?
I think I'm getting better about it because like most of that was like pre me mostly giving up TikTok. Like I'll go on TikTok every once in a while if someone sends me something funny, but for the most part, that's the only reason I have it on my phone now. But yeah, I definitely did that for a while.
Wait,
It was not
I have a
great.
question. So, have you ever like seen like those like depressive slideshows on TikTok? Or do you guys know what I'm talking about?
No, I have no idea what
I
you're
guess we can
talking
talk
about.
about this. So on TikTok, there's this feature where you can have slideshows, and you can just put pictures and music
Yeah.
over it, and there's like this theme, or I don't know, I don't even know if it's a trend, but it's like this trend where it's just like a depressive slideshow with depressive pictures
Oh
and like
no.
like depressive captions and depressive music,
See,
and
that's the stuff I hate on social
yeah,
media
like
sometimes.
there's like this whole part of social media that's glorifying the negative aspects of mental health.
And not only glorifying it, but subjecting everyone to it. Like, sometimes there are things on social media that, like, I didn't want to know, I didn't want to see, but, like, it's there,
Yeah.
so I couldn't get out of it. It's like, why would you subject someone to
Yeah.
that just because you're in pain? Like, there are better ways to deal with that.
Yeah, and I kind of feel like it's like kind of like a cry from help from like the person that posted, because obviously you have no information on the person that posted. They like behind like a hashtag, a username, an ad. You don't know their real name, anything about them. But I feel like people who post those things is kind of like a cry for help, and it doesn't even have to be completely anonymous. If any of you see something off on like one of your friends' posts, your family's posts, kind of message them or like get in touch with them, because
Yeah, check on them.
there are a lot of things on social media where people would hint at signs of their mental health. So I think that's something to
Yeah,
keep in mind.
it's something to keep in mind. And if you are one of those people who just needs to feel something and wants to post something like that, I implore you to seek help or ask for help. There's no shame in asking for help. And we also have, obviously, we have resources here in the health center if you're an Ohlone student to help you with that. Yeah. Um, what are some possible alternatives or ways that you can limit the negative impact of social media? We talked about a few of them just like in conversation, but I think there are others. I will say one social media app that I have been living for recently, my friends finally convinced me to make a Be Reel, and I actually love it because it is the only social media app where I do not need to scroll a ton to understand what's going on. Like
Mm.
literally I will post my Be Real, sometimes on time, sometimes not, but I don't like get on myself about it. I'll post my Be Real and then I'll just leave the app until I get a notification that one of my friends posted and then I'll look at it again. But like for the most part, I could go hours without looking at it and be fine. And if I miss a day, then I'm not going to beat myself up about it. Like it's just for fun. It feels more fun than just like, and I only really have to check it once a day if I don't want to really deal with it that much. That's just been one form of social media that has had a positive impact on me recently. And also, you can't put filters on anything, and like some days it'll just be my Be Real will just be me and my homework, and then other days it'll be me and like cat because I went to one of my family's houses and they have cats, or like something like that. So sometimes it'll be a little bit more interesting, but for the most part, like people are real on Be Real. I mean,
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I I just like how low maintenance it is, like you said. And I mean, you post, you get the job done. I
Yeah.
mean, there's nothing more to that. I like looking through and like commenting and reacting to my friends.
Yeah.
It's just, it's
That
fun.
and most of the people, I mean, you can look at the Discover, but I don't think anyone does. It's
I
just a
actually
bunch
look,
of
I
you
actually look at the
do?
Discover,
Oh,
yeah.
is that just like where like
Ooh.
random like
Yeah,
people?
it's just
Yeah,
random
and I have my
people.
Discover on as well. So I'll
So
get
people
like,
can see
Interesting.
I'll get people
yours.
from like France reacting, and
Oh,
that's
that's so
fun.
that's kind of cool though. I mean,
Yeah.
that's kind of the connectivity aspect. But what I was gonna say is like, for the most part, if unless you choose to put yours on the Discover, like the only people who are gonna see it are the people you've added, and the only people you're gonna see are the people you've added, and so you don't really have to worry about the outside perspectives of everyone as much. And also like it's just more personal because it's just for you and your buddies, you know. So that's been something that's positive. What's something that you guys have used, or if you don't need to, what's something that you think would be helpful for other people to do to limit the negative impact
I
of social
think
media?
that something similar, kind of relating this back to Be Real. I think what makes me continue enjoying Be Real is I'm pretty selective on who I add. I think there's a lot of people out there that like on social media in general, they just add everyone that
Oh
either requests
yeah.
them or if they don't really know them but they know of them, they're on and stuff, and that's totally fine, to each their own. But personally for me, I find that I overthink a bit more with what I post and
Right.
stuff when I have more people.
I'm like that with all my social
And
media.
so with Be Real, I'm pretty careful with who I add just because I want to make sure that I don't have to overthink and I don't have to overcomplicate the app.
Right.
And so that's what I think really helps that whole platform more fun for me.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think it's really hard when you feel obligated to follow someone just because like you are acquaintances with them, but like maybe you don't really care about them. Like not to be mean, but like there's only so much that you can give before you feel like you're giving too much, and also just like boundaries exist.
Definitely, there's a bunch of different reasons as to why someone may not
Yeah,
add,
exactly. There's so many
but
reasons, and all are valid. Like, I feel like people need to like understand that and not get butthurt if someone doesn't want to follow you back, or if keep their uh, um they keep their social media on private. Like that's totally, there are reasons that someone would do that, and maybe they're just a more private person or reserved, or like maybe that's the one place that they feel like they can be authentic, and so they're keeping the people on that they feel like they can be authentic with. I know that's me for the most part. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, something to limit the negative impact is just having self control. So kind of going back to like Be Real again. A lot of people are real, but there are also some people who aren't real. Right? They'll wait until after it's Be Real time to post something they're doing because they had it planned in advance. So that brings a question, right? Is it social media's fault, or is it on the user? And I think a lot of it actually is on the user. So it's on all of you guys, right? Your priorities, your values, and kind of the self control that you have. So I think it's important to think about why you use certain apps, what your intentions are, and kind of being true to yourself and true to everyone else. So that's just what I have to say about limiting the negative file. Just being true to yourself, and kind of holding yourself to your values with self control.
Yeah, and feel free to be authentic. If we all try to be authentic, maybe we can make the internet a better place. Like, genuinely, it sounds cheesy, but it's true. I'm kind of tired of seeing, like, everyone do the same things to just feel like they belong. There are other ways to belong, and I think we can all feel like we belong if we're being authentic, because if you're just showing your best self, do you really belong?
I think it always goes to comfort, to be honest. Do what makes you comfortable and surround your, I guess, not in surround, but put yourself in the social media like atmospheres and environments that make you comfortable and that you enjoy.
Yeah.
Because once you start straying away a bit, it does make it harder for it to be as satisfying as it once was.
Yeah. And uh like give yourself the freedom to give up if it's too much. Like if you're on social media for like an hour and you feel like crap after, like maybe it's time to not, or take a break, like a long break. Or maybe it's time to just like stop for the day. That's all, your limits are on you, but be aware and be aware of how it's making you feel. And be aware of how it's like impacting the way you live your life, because honestly it shouldn't have that much impact over the way you live your life. Yeah, if it's altering your choices, it's probably not healthy. Or the way you're doing it isn't healthy. Maybe you don't have to stop, but maybe you have to like reassess your boundaries with social media. I know we talk about boundaries a lot like with people, but I think boundaries with social media is a game changer. Yeah. Do you guys have anything to add? If not, that's okay.
I have a kind of interesting story, I guess, that recently kind of
Ooh,
happened that
do
related to
tell.
social media. It's not necessarily like what we kind of talked about, but it's kind of focusing on something we kind of mentioned.
Yeah.
So my friend, she watches this engineering YouTuber on on YouTube, and like she finds him really like useful, resourceful, and like it's just really nice having someone who's gone to the same path as you. And like Zan kind of said, since he has, I guess, less subscribers and what's like
You can like connect with them.
yeah. And so he's really relatable. She's like based her entire schedule off like what he said, and like she just like really values his opinions, right?
Yeah.
And then one day, like I just like look over and like I'm like seeing her watch this video. I'm like, and she tells me, it's like, doesn't he look familiar? And I'm like, yeah, it's because you've met him 5 times already in person. And then she didn't realize is that he's actually been to several events that we've been to, and she's even talked to him.
Oh my
But she didn't
god.
connect the dot that it's the same person that she's been like keeping up with on YouTube.
That's crazy.
That is.
It's just interesting because okay, he went to University of Waterloo in Canada, and so she didn't realize he moved to San Jose afterwards. And so when we would see him like at events and stuff, and also he never brought it up. And she, I guess, never read the YouTube like channel name.
Yeah.
But she just kind of, I don't know, she just didn't like, she wasn't conscious about it.
Wow.
And so it was like an entire like shock because like we're like, wait, we've known this man for 5 months now.
Yeah.
And we didn't realize he has a YouTube channel. And mind you, he has like 200K.
Oh my gosh.
And like we're like, wow, what a coincidence.
Yeah, right under your noses the whole time.
No, that's a big thing, right? We talked a lot about how it can connect us and how we're connected, but we also kind of touched on like how kind of disconnected people are, and your friend was kind of disconnected there.
Yeah, a little bit.
This is really funny.
Yeah.
You gotta tell us who it is after.
Definitely.
But yeah. Oh, that's so interesting. Yeah. We do kind of get I mean, as much as we get connected, we kind of get disconnected from the real world a little bit. Sometimes it's, healthy escapism, and then sometimes it's a little too much. But it's all a balance.
Intentions and self-control, really.
Yeah. With that, I will leave us with our note to self, which is be aware of and attentive to the time you spend as an online spectator. Social media will have you believing that your life is meaningless even though you're doing more than most people offline. And that's Germany Kent. And with that, we wish you a good week and be mindful about your social media. Bye.